Okay, well, the UK continues to be the nexus of the Western world's push for anti immigration and illegal migration, despite the incredible successes seen in the United States with agencies like ICE. Now, you know, you really got to think about it for a second like this is that these migrant hotels, these hotels that they give to, people from other countries, you have to see this as some type of slap to the face to regular common people. Some of these people are getting put into nice hotel rooms while the average citizen has to make do with not being able to afford one potentially. It speaks to a level of social destruction that is just ridiculous, and we see it all over the Western world. It's mind-boggling. It truly is mind-boggling. It's a strange occurrence in today's world that you would give so much to people for no reason. To be nice, to be, I don't know, globalists. You see that globalist is, we can't exist in a country or civilization in the Western world where certain demographic of people have no identity. It will never happen. And whenever you have situations where governments and policies are preventing people from having nationality, they take it back themselves. And we're seeing that hardcore in the UK. But it's coming to North America. In fact, in many places, like in the US and whatnot, it's already here. And, places like Australia are seeing examples. The ability for them to protect people who are despicable, who've done horrendous things, it doesn't make you a better society. Let's all call a spade a spade. If a migrant goes out and does something horrible to a civilian for that is innocently trying to live their life, they are a criminal. But what we're seeing in leftists, liberal groups is that they're not um, abiding by calling these people out for being bad. They're protecting them. They're trying to keep the globalist agenda being given to them. And we have scenes like this all across Twitter constantly. Oh man, like the things that these people get up to. And the thing is that sometimes these people end up in our country because they made a deal, they took down a terrorist organization, they gave something that our countries wanted in exchange for something else. And oftentimes it's to live in our countries. But it's, things like refugees. Like, what's stopping a Hamas terrorist from just taking up the mantle of a starved Syrian child? You know what I mean? What is their artillery motive is to destroy us? Well, they're going to use every avenue you can, and if you're too forgiving of these people and their policies, then they're just going to exploit it. And we are seeing that hardcore happen in the UK. Every single migrant hotel. Look at that. They're flooding our streets with people from third world countries. They're going to turn us into third world countries. And people see this. People are not stupid. They're not going to just stop because, they can, show a force and do that. Because to admit defeat is to truly have destroyed your own country. And what we're seeing is just constant that. So I mean, it all went down a week or so ago in that Epping place where some abhorred crime. I don't even want to say it because it's terrible. Some refugee, migrant, immigrant, whatever, comes to the country, does these terrible things. People are sick of it. And look at the BBC just just let's just the BBC is just going to do their own thing, aren't they? You know, that representative, diverse society is not going to work. You know, there are majority countries, and if people have no nationality, then they're gonna try and get that nationality back. A large group of people gathered outside council offices during a meeting. A peaceful protest was taken at Bell Hotel. And yeah, we've seen things like hearing about them bussing in left wing groups to counter protest. We've seen things like politicians standing up for these people who do abhorred crimes. And if they don't think it's a crisis, they better wake the fuck up because it is totally a crisis. I'm telling you. And sites like X, man, if it in the last 5 years have just taken the world by storm because now we see these things. We used to, take social media for granted and without realizing the power that it could have, spreading the, sometimes misinformation, but oftentimes it's yeah. I took 12 hours of the Online Safety Act to switch from protecting kids from porn to censoring protests outside migrant hotels. It's all about control. They have protocols to control things, and their policies are often awful. You know, the, I can't imagine the despicable things that are being conducted inside these migrant hotels. And now you have like de facto police forces being formed in the security, telling people what they can and can't do. These people could be fresh off the boat for all we know. And people in the UK are starting to notice this, and they are severely upset at the fact that politicians seem to be just giving our countries away for just here you go. Just it's a gas station of the world. You just come in and we're not going to care. Hopefully they don't care. Now I've said this for a long time, is that what these people often want to do, these left-wing groups, is that they just want the votes. They just want the power. You bring in enough migrants, who do you think they're going to vote for when their card or whatever that they come in on says, "Thank you to Labor Party for making this possible." They're going to vote for the Labor Party. They're the ones who got them into the country in the first place. People are smart enough to see that. And man, these these things, these people have deep-seated traditional values, and their families and their generations of families don't want to see their country getting taken over. Now, thankfully, most Western countries are still primarily native white, but they often have hot spots, cities, zones, and cities. They just become completely overrun from people that. Because, like I've said before, a lot of these people, the sense that they'll just come to our country, they'll integrate to our societies, they'll just, it'll just be like another one of us is false. These people don't want to assimilate. They stick in their own groups. They are a part of their own clan, so to speak, and they just do not care about the other people. In fact, in many cases, they wish that other people would leave so that it could be theirs. Humans are territorial creatures. We are by nature territorial. We have our houses, our properties, our spaces. We demand that we have our own spaces. And when you take that away from people, people get very patriotic. Uh, yeah, and doesn't this message resonate? What kind of a person could you be to not for that not to be a statement you rally behind? Women deserve to be safe in their own countries, and often these people are coming from countries where they disrespect women and they don't like us, and they want to just come here and just take whatever they can, and sometimes that leads to abhorrent crimes. And that's just the truth of the matter. So I mean, yeah, you see talking points like this all the time. Far right, blah blah blah, and the Germans phrase that people will say, but that's not what it is. What it is people who are patriotic, people who care about maintaining the sanctity of their cities, towns, villages, their ancestry. And when you take that away from people, people have a way of, nobody's going to their countries and, taking over. Maybe they did in the past, but they're not the majority of people. In Bangladesh, there's not like, look at the percentage of foreign people in Bangladesh. It's going to be like 0.00 point blah 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 blah. Go to Japan. It's like almost every single person is Japanese, despite all the idiot streamers and tourists you see roaming around Japan on these live streams. The truth of the matter is, on the ground floor, that every single person is Japanese. Why? Because they want to maintain this. And Japan has been a little bit more liberal in these last little whiles, and other countries too. But most of these countries understand that you cannot just let other people come in and set up shop. It's not how it works. But in the West, US, Canada, Australia, UK, Europe, parts of Europe, for some reason, there's this drive to multiculturalism. And to think that that will ever work is insane. And to think that people want to protect that level of insanity is in itself just crazy. And people know that that's just ridiculous bollocks, that you can have, thousands of undocumented migrants just coming in every day or whatever, and just let them on the streets. Like, that is just absolute fucking bullshit. We need to stop that. Stop that immediately. If people aren't supposed to be in the country, get rid of them. Doesn't matter where they go. We were like the central power of the world, the West, U.S., Canada, Australia, Europe. We better start acting like it. Otherwise, we're going to lose that power. People, they talk about the enemy of China and Russia and, oh my God, North Korea, Iran, they're going to invade and destroy us. The real imminent threat is not them, as far as we can tell. They're probably working in the backgrounds, but you don't have thousands of Chinese nationals waltzing down the street telling people what to do, when you have people from other countries, mostly third world countries, doing just that. Muslim countries, African countries, places where these people need to fix their own countries. They don't need to come here and dictate what we need to do. So the whole thing is insane. As you can see, it's definitely having an effect. 2024 net was that. It's lower than that. And in the 2020s, we entered this phase of, real, you had the wokeness, you had, the George Floyd stuff in the U.S., you had you had all this multiculturalism stuff, and we see it in today in the commercials we see and everything. It's like they want to just tell us to shut up and accept the fact that multiculturalism is here to stay. And if multiculturalism is allowed to just continue unchecked, we lose it. We lose our identities. We lose our country. And you got to wonder what's going through their heads. What side are they fighting for? Are they fighting for the side where, their grandchildren aren't safe in the streets in, 30 years, when most of the population is people from other countries, just flooding into the country? There's like billions of people from other countries that could come here and just totally take over us, but they don't, because we're a central power. We are a powerful nation of people, the most powerful people on earth. And you know, we fought in World War II to defend our power, and here we are. And I'm sure that people from the UK, this statement resonates with them. We're just laying down and taking it. We're allowing ourselves to be conquered by these other countries. Now, thankfully, there's a huge amount of native population in, um, like, uh, U.S., UK, Canada, Australia, that mostly overtakes them all right now. But that scale slides ever deeper every day. And, we're looking at the 2050s where, becoming, in 2060s, 2100, we're just the minority. And it's like, I don't know. Do you want that? Do you want to see less of us and more of this? Awful, awful. I can only imagine what the parents think of these kinds of things. And then you have this, these, so close the migrant hotels. Look out for it in your Western countries. Call it out where it needs to be called out, because yeah, one day you'll wake up in a country that's not yours. And our you see things in the U.S. like the that mayor from Somalia and the politicians going out in public and saying, we don't care about the U.S., we're in it for Somalia. And they're politicians in the U.S., congressmen in the U.S., and they're saying that. And like I said, majority are still native peoples that are, hold the power, but they slip in slowly. And you got five-star hotels, and they're giving them money out of your pocket. So yeah, migration thing, awful. I'm proud of the people of UK for stepping up and, fighting against this, because it's not a world I want to live in with my kids feeling danger in the streets, because some third world migrants running around on a crazed spree. It's just not a world we should strive for. Instead, we should do everything in our power to stop it, because you have stuff like this. The Biden Harris flew him into the U.S. under the parole program. He's living in a luxury tax funded hotel, and then he did that. Multiculturalism will never work. There, there is minorities and majorities, and if there is an imbalance, you get chaos in the public space. And we this has been proven over and over again. Um, yeah, Jesus, horrible. And you gotta look up to people like Tommy Robinson, who are literally standing up against this. It's BS, and you know pray for a future where migrants don't just come and be given all of our rights and freedoms. Because I know I sure as hell do not want that, and I'm sure that there are plenty of people who feel the exact same way as me. Peace.